All right, we're live.
I'm waiting for it to fucking there it goes. I was waiting for my icon to go live because it hadn't gone live yet.
Oh,
Good morning, motherfuckers. It's Tuesday morning fantasy, and I'm fucking back. That's right, it's Zoo hitting you up with those fantasy football stats and bullshit. With me is Peaches.
hey, what's up, guys?
All right, so first I want to say thank you to Peaches for covering me last week. I had some family issues I had to take care of, but I was glad we could at least get something out there. So everyone, even if you're in the middle class, go ahead and give Peaches a round of applause. You can golf clap; it's okay. All right, so yeah, this is the new way I'm going to be doing TMF. It was a pain in the ass for me to write it out and then copy and paste it, and then you guys weren't really reacting to it very much, and it just wasn't worth my effort to sit down and write it. Podcast is a lot easier. I talk this shit with Brandon all the time anyway, or excuse me, Snake/Peaches all the time anyway. So this was just easy, like 10-20 minute thing that we could just do, and he's doing all the hard work because I don't have to fucking edit anything. So he
I
just stuck his
mean,
tongue out.
I'm not gonna lie. Since we're talking just back and forth here, there's gonna be a lot less editing because I'm not just gonna have dead air time where I'm going crap like that. Because oh my god, last week was that a horrible fucking thing. I was just sitting there with no idea where to go, and half of the time I think I spent about a half hour editing that fucking audio file. That was only 9 minutes. I spent about a half hour editing that thing, trying to find every fucking time I went, um, and then cutting out a genuine, because the audio file started out as 13 minutes. It got cut down to 9 minutes because of how many times I love dead air. So that's hopefully not going to happen this time.
We'll see. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. Last week was yet another strange week. We finally had more teams break basically the 70-point mark after having like 6 teams last week basically barely make it over 60. Still a couple teams still couldn't really beat that hump. So I want to talk about the standings real quick. Brett Davis is 3-0 right now, along with Andrew Campbell's team, the Hometown Discounts, I guess. Is that his team name this year?
The double check discounts,
Double checked. My bad.
or more efficiently named the oh my god, how the fuck did I win?
I specialize in scoring 70 points and having the other team score 60 points. And the stats show that the points against for Andrew are 172, which are the lowest by like 30 across the rest of the league. So he is definitely being gifted right now, even though the gods took away a couple of his players. They're gifting it back, paying it forward. The only other things to note really is that our usual hard playing Nathan Picorni is 0-3 right now, but he's probably just doing that thing where he just sits back, waits, and then it strikes because that's how he rolls. And
I mean,
the other Nathan
I was about to
Delaney
say,
is
I see
also
both
0-3.
Nathans down there,
Yeah,
in the 0-3 basement.
yeah, the Nates are having fun. All right, so we're gonna go to the very most favorite part that everyone loves. It's the rankings, where people get really shitty at me whenever I don't rank their team high enough, especially the man on the other side of this microphone.
No comment.
Yeah, guilty as charged, motherfucker. All right, so rounding out the very bottom, like I said, they're 0-3. The points they've been scoring is non-existent. It's Nathan Picorni in number 10. Number 9, Nathan Delaney right behind him. Mitch's team is in 8th. Andrew's in 7th. My team finally scored some points and bumped themselves. Doc and Peaches are tied at number 4. Nick is number 3. And then Angie's number 1, not Brett. Brett is number 2. If you don't like those rankings, you can suck my ass. And those are not. I didn't look at the records at all for these rankings yet. This is all based off of how many points you scored. So that's literally what I'm going off of right now because the records are too insignificant right now. But starting next week, I'll start putting records in the account. And next week also, we'll actually be doing a team-by-team breakdown. So we'll actually talk about your team and say whether or not you think you're stupid.
I'm not going to lie. I'm looking at these numbers right now, and I find it very weird that the two highest teams, Angie and Nick here.
I see it, right.
Well, Angie and Nick both have the exact number of points for and against them. Yet for some reason, one is 2-1 and one is 1-2. That's bad luck on Nick's part.
Yeah, well, I think we're gonna come up with a better way of saying points for, points against. We might just have to go with point differential, just because it's annoying to say that, and I'm sure everyone loves hearing me say that every fucking time.
Yep, they do.
All right, so I'm just gonna go down the list of the games from last week. My game is always first because that's just the way it comes up on my app. Sorry, guys. So this week I played Doc's team. Doc, I finally scored more than 70 points, but Doc decided to go fucking ape shit. He scored 120. He got 35 points out of Brady, 22 out of I don't know his first name, Cook from Minnesota, the running back, Delvin Cook. And wait, Matthew fucking Prater got 19 goddamn points. He had fucking 4 field goals and 2 extra points.
I'm not going to lie. His team was really just spearheaded by Tom Brady and the absolute shootout that was the New England-Houston game. I was watching that, and I mean, one got thrown to Gronk, and I will be forever grateful for Tom Brady throwing him to Gronk. But at the same time, the guy had five throwing touchdowns, which is absolutely insane. Like in the other 2 games that have been played, a couple of them have been at least running touchdowns, but no, this game was completely all Tom Brady and him just throwing bombs up to Brandon Cook. Brandon Cooks or Cook?
I think it's Brandon Cook.
Is it Cook?
I don't know. We'll get it in editing.
Oh, okay. It's not worth it.
So Tom Brady, I was watching him, not watching the game, but I was watching it on my app. And I was like, you know what? If Tom Brady finishes the game with, I think it was like 29 points, I don't feel good about that, but I feel okay-ish. I might have a chance because my team had been performing pretty well at that point. But then he threw a fucking touchdown in literally the last 20 seconds of the game, which at that point I knew my team, it was done, even though Stephon Diggs had 29 points.
Well, I mean, and look, he scored 120 points, but it's worth noting that his fucking tight end put up a big fat 0, and the guy still scored 120 points. The perennial thorn in Doc's side that he's always bitching about, Le'Veon Bell, finally actually had a, Le'Veon Bell game and got him 15 points, but Jesus Christ, like having a guy score absolutely nothing and then still putting up 120 bomb. That's you can't beat that. You can't beat that.
No, it was a sad day. All right, so we're gonna move on. Another loss for Zoo. We got the Vatican City Violators against the Dragonstone Bastards, which in other words is Brett versus Picorni. Brett's basically scored like almost 80 points like every week, and this was no different. What the fuck? Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I looked at these scores beforehand, but I guess I didn't look close enough because I didn't realize Russell Wilson had 32 points.
Oh yeah, this was a real breakout game for Russell Wilson this week. His first 2 games, he was looking like absolute trash. So I don't know why Brett started him. Maybe Brett thought to himself, "Who would I bench this week?" And he was like, "I would bench Russell Wilson. I'm gonna put him in my lineup." And Brett, for that. That's why you got the win this week. You put in Russell Wilson when you thought you were going to bench him. Boom. Insta win. I mean, this is really the story of this game is the 2 quarterbacks. You look at Russell Wilson, who just had a game. That Seattle offense is actually looking decent now. But when you go over Which one's the Dragonstone Bastards? Is that Nick's team?
No, that's Picorni.
Picorni. When you go over and look at Picorni's team, he made the same mistake I made last year and relied on Cam Newton. And I'm pretty sure the best days for Cam Newton are behind him. And Cam threw 3 interceptions. The only reason his day was even salvaged was because he had a rushing in touchdown. That's really it. But if you want to look at the tail of the tape for the game, you can look no farther than the quarterbacks, and that's really the story.
Yeah. I think the last 2 things I want to say about this game is, don't worry, Brett is still in midseason form. He still benched OBJ Jr. OBJ Jr. That's a stupid name. That doesn't make any sense. Just OBJ. I'm sorry. He scored 19 points for Brett's bench. Not that it mattered. And then Nathan, this is the second week in a row that you've benched Carlos Hyde, and Carlos Hyde had like 20 points.
Can you really trust Carlos Hyde though? I haven't looked at his like touches and everything week per week, but I mean, now that I just pulled it up, he's obviously trending in the right direction. His first 2 games of the year were against Carolina and Seattle, and those are just 2 fucking rough games. I mean, honestly, I probably would have benched Carlos Hyde too going up against LA Rams, and you have Aaron Donald up there in the front. The run's not going to be there very often, but apparently Carlos Hyde is just top fucking tier running back now. And if Picorni wants to bench him for a 4th week in a row, then good luck.
If you're playing me, please do. All right. Let's move on to Andrew's team, the double check discounts against Peach's Next. So this one was really close. Peaches was texting me all week crying about how he's got to play Andrew and how, oh, woe is me, Sammy Watkins scored 22 points.
That was not a woe is me. I distinctly remember texting you about whether I should bench LaShawn McCoy or not, and you gave absolutely no advice, which I don't think is collusion. It's just advice. So you can give me all the smirks you want.
I didn't want you to win.
It wouldn't have mattered. I could have benched him. I could have played him. Larry Fitzgerald put the nail in my coffin.
Yeah, so basically Andrew got 2 big performances out of 2 players that have not shown up yet this season, with Larry Fitzgerald getting 20 points and Sammy Watkins got 22. So after that first week, Andrew looked like a genius for playing the Jags defense, all right? But then he played the Jags defense against the Titans. That did not go well. And then he played Baltimore's defense against the Jaguars, and that went to the tune of -6 points.
The Jaguars were pissed off.
Apparently. Actually, I think the Jaguars just really like playing in London. That's basically
I don't know the stats for it, but I mean they've got to be getting used to it because haven't they played there almost every year?
They almost play there almost every year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And finally, the New England running back. I don't know how to say his last name.
It's fucking Mike Gillislee. And I know a fair share about Mike Gillislee because he was stealing runs away from LaShawn McCoy last year. He was the backup running back at Buffalo, goes to New England, and apparently becomes LeGarrette Blount 2.0. Very touchdown dependent. If he doesn't make it in the end zone, you're not going to have a good week. And this is clearly evidence of it because, as Zoo always loves to say, apparently a running back fucked over Bill Belichick and his life, so now he just perennially hates all running backs and wants to fuck them over continuously. This is an example of that.
Yeah. On the other side of the ball, Drew Brees had a good game against Carolina's defense, scored 20 points. Frank Gore actually scored 11 points. Michael Crabtree, after his amazing week last week, put up a goose egg. And I think he get a shoulder injury or something.
This is what happened with Michael Crabtree, and the same thing happened to Amari Cooper for your team. Derek Carr apparently forgot how to throw a fucking football because when I look at the review of the game, when I look at the game breakdown, it goes, Michael Crabtree was injured while he was trying to jump up very high to catch a overthrown pass by Derek Carr, and was laid the fuck out and got a chest injury. Thank God he didn't break a rib, or else he would have been out for the fucking season.
So close to having Amari Cooper be the top target. God damn it. All right, well, that's a perfect segue because now we're going to talk about the game where Derek Carr was front and center for Nick's hometown hangovers, right? That's Nick's team.
Yeah.
I always forget. I always get that one confused because I'm used to the raccoon logo.
Well, he faced Angie this week, and God, did Todd Gurley decide to show up?
Yeah.
I mean, this is 2 weeks in a row where he did, though.
Yeah,
I think he did really well the second week too.
He did. I just want to start with Derek Carr. He ended up he finished the day with 4 points for Nick's team. Oh, it's Brandon Cooks, not Brandon Cook.
Oh, it is Brandon Cooks.
Who had 27 freaking points.
Yeah, that guy went off.
But then, Nick didn't get a whole lot of production anywhere else. Well, I guess other than Freeman from Atlanta, but that's to be expected. It's not very often that you would say you would have been better off starting Eli Manning, but Eli Manning had 22 points on the bench.
Also, Nick, what the hell are you doing? Why the fuck did you bench T.Y. Hilton?
All right. In his defense,
look.
In his defense, who was throwing to T.Y. Hilton?
Jacoby Brissett. No, I can understand. I can understand if you want to fucking bench him with Scott Tolzien throwing the ball, but Jacoby Brissett was actually looking pretty good last week. So coming into this week, I would say, hey, Jacoby Brissett might be throwing to my guy a little bit more. I'm going to put in T.Y. Hilton because I know he's the best receiver on that team. Actually, let's be real. He's the only fucking receiver on the Indianapolis offense.
You're making Ryan Grigson sad now. He tried so hard to draft every single receiver he could.
Ryan Grigson can go die in a fire.
Oh, he can do much worse than that. So T.Y. Hilton, I agree that maybe you should have played him just because he was playing the Browns. But on the other hand, like T.Y. didn't get any looks from Jacoby last week. Like I don't think he had like any points at all. I don't even know if he had a target with Jacoby playing. So you got to be scared at that point. But I think after this week's game, Jacoby's got a new favorite target. On the other side, Angie continues to do no wrong. Like just a quick glance, it basically looks like she optimized her roster the best she could. Like there really isn't anything on here that's. I mean, maybe I guess you could have put Demaryius Thomas in for Mike Evans, but that was just a difference of 3 points. So she got a huge 32-point game from Todd Gurley. Ezekiel Elliott came back up and got 15 points after a sad showing last week. And then Michael Thomas had 14 points for New Orleans. And that basically tells the story there.
I mean, one thing that we can have an ongoing segment here for Angie's team is Emmanuel Sanders or Demaryius Thomas. Because if you go back to last week, she played Demaryius Thomas instead of Emmanuel Sanders, and Emmanuel Sanders scored more. So she maybe went, oh, I'm going to start Emmanuel Sanders this week, and guess who scored more points? So this is
two. It was like a difference of 2, though.
I know, but
so
it's still hilarious that she plays the Denver wide receiver that gets less points each week.
Yeah, that is definitely.
Like, I mean, it's like a flip of the coin, though. Both of them are so talented that any week, either one could be the main wide receiver. It's really who Trevor Siemian is feeling that week, but. I think that we should have that on Angie watch. If she fucks up each week, picking the wrong Denver wide receiver.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the last game and also our wimpy game of the week. Both teams made it to 60 points, but they did not make it over 67. So there was a winner, but you're considered a shit winner. That's right, you're a schwinner. So the winner was Mitch's Spanish Inquisition over Nathan Delaney's Trash Pandas. Like we're talking about Trevor Siemian, Nathan actually started Siemian and got a whopping 7 points.
I mean, after last week, you had to assume that Trevor Siemian was probably going to have another good week, but going up a very difficult Buffalo defense. I can't say that with a serious face. I don't know what happened to Trevor Siemian this week. I don't know where the 2 interceptions came from, but I mean, if it was to a Stephon Gilmore or one of the other talented cornerbacks in Buffalo, that could be understandable. But honestly, you know, you have to go with the hot hand. Last week, Trevor Siemian had a really good week, and you just didn't know how hard Kirk Cousins was going to pound Oakland. So, you really can't be held accountable for that.
Yeah, you'll get some leeway on that one. Lamar Miller continues to be ineffective in Houston. Melvin Gordon continues to be awesome. Jordy Nelson finally showed up. He had 17 points. Or no, I'm sorry, not Jordy. Which Nelson was? Yeah,
no, that's
Jordy
Nelson.
Yeah, Jordy Nelson. And then he has another Jay Nelson, I think it's Jerron Nelson or Gerard Nelson for
John.
Arizona.
Is it John?
Is it John? I don't know. He had a good week against the Colts. It looks JJ Nelson. Mm-hmm. And I guess Nate thought that would continue, and it definitely did not. No receptions at all. And he got -4 points from the Seattle defense. And my favorite story of the year is now over, because Jordy Nelson scored 17 points, and Nate's best player, Matt Bryant, the Atlanta kicker, had 14, which means that for the first week this year, Nate's best or biggest points getter was not his kicker, which just saddens me to no end. That being said, Nate's got a lot of people on the bench who scored a lot this week. So he kind of left some points there that definitely could have won him the game.
I mean, honestly, you really couldn't have thought that David is his name David or Duke Johnson? It's Duke Johnson. Yeah, you can't rely on Duke Johnson because they have Isaiah Crowell back there, and they're one of the few teams that are running a 2 running back offense. So, I mean, I don't blame the guy for not playing Duke Johnson.
That's fair, but I think I would have played Kenny Britt, against against Indianapolis.
Yeah, we have a very porous defense.
Yeah, but enough about Nate. Let's talk about the actual winner, Mitch's team. He had some solid games out of some of his players. Kind of a sad game from Ryan, the Atlanta quarterback. Antonio Brown finally showed up, 17 points, over 100 yards. He also had 2 goose eggs from his wide receivers, but he got 14 points out of Tyreek Hill.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Kelvin Benjamin actually got hurt in that game, so that's why he had to go out and probably put up a goose egg.
Yeah, and then -1 point from Carolina, which does not happen. But the biggest story of this game is the amount of points left on the bench. Yet again, for the second week in a row, Mitch Davis scored more points on his bench than he did with his lineup. He got 24 points out of Thompson, 19 points out of Marcus Mariota, 25 points out of Howard, 18 points from Chris Hogan, or not Chris Hogan, I'm not sure what his first name is.
Yeah, it's Chris Hogan.
And then 12 points out of LeGarrette Blount. I have not done the math, but just adding a couple of them makes 79 points. I think there's almost 99 points on the bench. I love this so much. I love that the Davis family apparently cannot manage the bench. It is the greatest thing in my life. And
I mean, I'm gonna come to his defense now. I'm gonna come to his defense since apparently we're playing bad cop, good cop. Jordan Howard actually came into the game injured, but I actually follow football news. I know it makes me just the worst, but Jordan Howard came into the game with a shoulder injury, and even his teammates were just fucking astounded by how well he pushed through that injury and how he kept coming back. He had to leave the game twice. So what you're seeing there, 138 yards and 2 touchdowns, is almost god tier, is what I'm saying. I mean, I would have sat Jordan Howard too, going into a game questionable with a shoulder injury. Chris Hogan. I mean, honestly, it was that New England offense this week that really went off. And Chris Thompson is surely becoming the Washington running back that you want in the absence of Robert Kelly. Yeah, Robert Kelly. So I think that it's a live and learn week for Spanish Inquisition. And next week, if he does it again, if he does it for a fourth week in a row, we have some problems.
Mitch, don't take this too hard. I know you don't really know me. I'm just joking around, but it's just really funny, and we've all been there. It's okay. Just ask your brother about it. Speaking of which, the Brett Davis Imitation Award, also known as the dumbass who kept too many points on the bench, does go back to Mitchell Davis again. So back-to-back weeks for Mr. Davis. Now, usually I give out this award to the team that left the most points on the bench and lost because that's what hurts the most. But I just couldn't ignore over 80 points being left on the bench in 1 week. I don't know if Brett's done fucked up before, and I've done it too, but I don't think I've ever seen anyone do it that well. You're a pro. All right. There is not going to be an unlucky son of a bitch award this week because it was too hard to find and I wasn't going to wreck my head that hard. So if you lost, consider yourself the unluckiest. And if you won and you felt like someone should have got more points, then you consider yourself the unluckiest. Everybody wins. The luckiest player this week is definitely going to have to go to Andrew. Larry Fitzgerald, who's aging, obviously, and hasn't played well, and he's got Carson Palmer thrown to him. And then Sammy Watkins, who hasn't done jack shit in Los Angeles, and has Jared Goff throwing to him. They both explode for 20 points, which helped to just barely beat, or not barely beat, but it was a really close game up until, I think, the second touchdown thrown to Larry Fitzgerald. I think it was the second one. No, I'm sorry, the 50-yard pass or whatever it was that put him at 149 yards. So Andrew, you're the lucky one this week. And then, you know how my awards always shift. So I've got written down a secondary dumbass award, which goes to people who made in my opinion, a stupid play. And I know we already talked about it, but I'm gonna hit back on it real quick. Playing Trevor Siemians. I know he had a big week last week. It's just hard to trust him because we've seen him play before, and it's never been pretty. So I'm not so sure that was the play to make. And because it cost you the game, Nate, I'm going to have to give that one to you. Yeah, you could have played Kirk Cousins, who's going up against Oakland. And Oakland's got a solid D, but I don't think they're one of the best Ds. And Peaches can argue that for or against.
I could, but I won't right now.
So that's the last award. Next week will be better, I promise. I'll have it more fleshed out. It was supposed to be recorded tomorrow, but I had opening now and couldn't do it tomorrow. So next week, we're also going to add a preview section where we're going to preview the games. I'm just going to talk about I'm not going to talk about who's starting who because, A, I don't want to give you any free advice. And although maybe you should do the opposite, whatever I say, because I'm 1-2 right now. So what the fuck do I know? But we'll just talk about what we expect to see in each game. So thanks for listening. Have a good day. If you got anything you guys want to ask us, like if you have like ideas for segments or just want to get our ideas on other things, like I don't really give a shit what it is. I will totally answer questions on here because I'm fine with having more content.
So, yeah, I mean, like if you want to just have like a question and answer segment about, hey, should I drop this person? Hey, should I?
Oh hell no! I'm not telling you.
No. I will. I will go in-depth research about this shit because it would be so much fun for me to go and be like, oh, well, you know, this person's trending that way, their touches, their snap count and stuff like that. And if you want to listen to me and take my advice, that's on you. But if it ends up blowing back in your face, I don't want to hear jack shit about it. But I totally will go in-depth analysis on your ass if you want to ask questions.
I will not. I'm not putting any effort into this than I already have.
Zoo is minimal effort here.
The only thing we will have the return of our celebrity guests. Now, because this isn't audio medium now, they will no longer be naked because they are now spiritual and floating voices. But we're going to try and incorporate celebrity guests again. But that might be a couple weeks down the road. And we don't have a sign off yet, so go fuck yourselves. I guess is how. But nah, that's too mean. I'm sorry.
No, and as always, DFTBA.